Yo, it's Flint at the dark. I got two guests on here today. I got Miss Trachelle Young. She's running for Genesee County Prosecutor Office. And I got my main man Tip from the Maid Institute, from the Broome Center of the Maid Institute. And tonight we're gonna talk about solutions for ideas that how we can curb some of this violence or stop some of this violence in the city of Flint, Michigan. You know what I'm saying? We had a bunch of stuff happen the other night that shouldn't happen, and I want to send all my condolences to the families of the injured or whoever that passed. And oh yeah, I want to say R.I.P. to John Lewis. They raided him the rest today. He was a great man.
Yeah.
God, I can't forget him. He was a great man. He was like one of our last ties to Dr. King. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to say that too. And I want y'all to introduce yourselves. Start with ladies first. Ms. Young.
Thank you very much. I am Attorney Trachelle C. Young, and I am running for Genesee County Prosecutor. I've been practicing law for 24 years, born and raised in Flint. I've seen things go from bad to worse in this area in our community, and I really think it's going to take a village. It's going to take the millennials. It's going to take voices like yours to be part of the solution, as well as mine, you know, coming from a legal perspective. We got to come to the table and come together, and we got to listen to these kids and figure out where we went wrong, because for somehow, you know, they've gone astray. And right now, people are looking at them as a lost generation. And that's not how, that might be how it is now, but that's not how this story ends. And so that's why I'm happy to be part of this conversation.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Tip.
My name is Timothy Abdul Mateen. I am a co-founder and currently community consultant for the Maid Institute. We provide comprehensive programming for returning citizens and at-risk youth in the area of workforce development, life skills teaching, transitional housing, health and wellness programs. And you know, I'm just here to offer, you know, some solutions, and hopefully, man, we can head into the right direction and give our youth a little more hope, man, because a lot of people are looking down upon them right now and writing them out. So it's like Attorney Young said, man, we got to go back to that village mentality, and that's what I'm all about, the village mentality.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all my input, then I'm gonna give y'all the floor. This is just my opinion only. My solutions, my ideas would be to have more big homies, aka mentorship programs in the city. You know what I'm saying? We could implement like a study hall, computer labs, field trips upon good report cards. You know what I'm saying? We could help with haircuts and hairdos, school supplies all year round. We just let them know we there from all year round, not just the beginning of the school year. We could also, I mean, I'm not trying to tell nobody how to raise their child or nothing. We could bring the parents in and have some parenting classes, because when this peer pressure hit, they need to know what to do, how to talk them out of it. You know what I mean? And the kids need to know that we there available for them 24 hours, 7 days a week. You know what I'm saying? If they need to call us at 3 a.m. in the morning because they might about to make a bad decision, you know what I'm saying? We need to get our butt up out the bed and go handle that. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's where I'm at with that. So, my slogan is, we ain't gonna wait on the government assistance. We ain't gonna wait on the state assistance. The hood gonna save the hood. You know what I'm saying? We on Alma and Saginaw. Me and my cousin Stony C, we got both corners. You know what I'm saying? Anytime anybody need us, you know what I'm saying? That's what it is right there. And I'm gonna turn it over to you, Ms. Trachelle.
Thank you. Thank you. I like your ideas because they really affect quality of life. You know, that's dealing with the everyday issues that these kids are facing. We're fighting so many things, from the music that they're listening to the video game violence. You know, they have just become desensitized to taking another life. And I talk to young people all the time, especially the millennials, And a lot of them have said, they're not afraid to die. They're not afraid to go to prison, and they're not thinking about tomorrow. They're living for the day. And that's problematic. And we just had a conversation yesterday evening. I see Pastor Hawkins has come in, and he was part of our conversation yesterday. And the theme that really continued to replay was they need to have some self-love, that they need to know that they are kings and queens out here and how they should act. And we got to figure out how to reach them where they are to bring them to the next level. So that's why I like your solutions, because you're dealing with those issues, them everyday issues, taking care of yourself, self-respect, looking good, looking decent. Like you said, making sure they can get a haircut when they need a haircut, making sure if they're hungry, they can come somewhere and get something to eat. If they need, guidance, or, one of the suggestions that Pastor Galloway had yesterday was, how they have suicide hotlines. He said we need to develop a homicide hotline. So when somebody is ready and close to pulling the trigger, maybe they can pick up the phone and get talked off of that ledge. So, there are some things we've got to be creative. We've got to do things that have never been done, because I don't think we've seen a generation like this, and 12 people got shot that night. 12 people, one died. And we're talking different locations throughout the city. So it's time for us to do things new, and we all have to step up and do our part.
Yep, yes, ma'am. How you introduce yourself, Pastor Hawkins?
Well, thank you, bro, for having me on. Jeff Hawkins, pastor, Prince of Peace Baptist Church, and certainly, I just consider myself a voice in this community, trying to help any and everybody, better quality of life overall. So thank you for having me, bro. You know that.
No problem, sir. Let me get your input, Tip.
Yeah, man. One of my things is creating safe places for the youth. We don't have a lot of safe places, and the ones we do have, it seems to be like an age limit. A lot of these youth that is participating in this violence are the youth that's probably already out there. The ones that's gonna be hard to get, because they already they've been desensitized to violence, to all these things. That quality of life isn't best, so everything they do is really a move of survival. And we don't create safe places for them where they can express themselves, where they can deal with their issues, and it's going to continue to increase. And I mean, it's so many different parts of this, but that's just one, a solution. I always felt like we need to really implement, creating safe places. Like the other night, the youth, they wanted to go have a good time, right? They all came out there. They went with the premise of having a good time. The individuals who initiated the violence wasn't even from Flint, to my knowledge. So, when you want to go have a good time as a youth, it may be some wild things that transpire, but for it to go to that route, and then the other things we had happen that same night, this shows like we don't have enough safe places where these people can go, because whether we like it or not, a lot of the music, a lot of the entertainment is prevalent in us. It's the dominant society. The youth, they love the music, they love the rap. But how do we, use that to get their attention and say, hey, listen, even though this rap or these violent gangs and things like that may portray a certain image, it's still always the opposite side to that. So I mean, it's so many issues and so many things we can do. I really feel like one of my things is creating a safe place for them where I can, myself, I'm a mentor. I mentor hundreds of men in the county jail, in the streets, through my organization. And that's one of the most important things, is having a safe place. Like with May, we have a transitional house. We provide a safe place for them. We do life skills teaching in there. I mean, we deal with things, man. We individuals, they have so much trauma. I call it compounded trauma, like compounded interest. When you got that compounded interest, you in debt. And a lot of people are indebted to the trauma they have, and it's just one trauma after another. They never have a place to heal because they don't have the safe places or people they trust So that's just how I see it, brother.
Okay, okay. Pastor Hawkins?
Yes, sir, man. Just echoing what my brother said, as well as Trachelle. We have to create some safe places for people, and especially for these young folks, and then of course teaching them, you know, self awareness with self accountability, self respect, self love, because that's important. Now we know that ultimately the hands, particularly on young people before they get a certain age, falls on the hands of the parents, and we know that in this day we have such a huge um, display of what they kind of begin to yield to. In our days we had Scarface, and a couple of songs, but this day it's Grand Theft Auto and all this other stuff. It's equal, you know, and we know that these things kind of weigh on us, and unfortunately it begins to move the line between what's real and what's not. So that's why self-awareness has to be so important, because oftentimes when people make these type of actions and moves, they really wasn't thinking about the the repercussion behind it. You know, growing up in the streets, it just made sense to say, I don't know what's going to happen the next day, because you're doing some I don't know what's going to happen the next day type of stuff.
Mhm.
You're moving that way. It looks like it could end up in death. It looks like it could end up in prison, and you don't care only because you don't care to quit what you're doing. But once you come to the reality of the truth, you really don't want to deal with either one of them, not that type of way. So I understand that, but that's why it's important for us to begin to teach them self-awareness and to how to love themselves. But as Tip said, getting them away, getting them into a safe place to where now you really don't have no ego to try to keep up with. You don't have. It could just be that one-on-one conversation that says, you know what, I just wanted to get it together, and I don't want to be a part of this any longer. Most cats who really grow up in the street don't want to do that, but they just feel like there's really not another option there, so that's what they do. you know. But when we understand that, then we begin to tell them, man, it's okay to have a conversation, and it's okay to change your path, but getting them in a space where they feel like they can do it or to talk about it is extremely important, because they're not going to talk about it on the corner because their homies is not too far, you know. So they're not
Right.
going to do that.
Yeah.
But they will talk about it to a one-on-one, and really quick. That's why I appreciate what Tip is doing and Leon is doing, because these brothers who's younger than I am, they can have a better conversation for the most part. And that's something I understand. I don't have a problem with sending somebody their way, because the whole idea is to help that person. One person don't have all the tools. We send them to somebody who can help them far better, because the objective is the person getting the help that they need.
Okay. I got somebody in the comments. They said, how can we stop these illegal parties? Miss Young?
That's a whole new thing right now. These pop-ups, when they're pop-ups, they have this means of communicating that's almost backdoorish, to where they kind of SOS coding each other, and you really can't get ahead of it when they're doing it the way they're doing it, because they literally pop up. You look up and it's
Social
1,000
media.
people in one place. So, Pastor Hawkins, I know we were talking yesterday, and you were talking about activity that goes on that is kind of a safe place, like Tip was referencing, that's similar to them, how they congregated at Hallwood Plaza, and it takes place every weekend, but there's not the violence, there's not the shooting, I saw video from that night, and to me it started with some females started fighting. And I have to commend you guys, because I really think a great part of the problem is with this mass incarceration issue. So many Black men were taken out of our community and out of our homes, that a lot of these young men, they don't have that person in their house that's saying, no, boy, don't do that. Don't say that. Don't dress like that. Don't go out that way. They're lacking that guidance. So to me, you are stepping in and bridging that gap for them. And that's what's needed so desperately, as well as, for me, I mentor girls. And so, they have to be taught that they are beautiful and that they are queens and that they are smart and that, we got to plant those seeds, because a lot of them don't hear that at home. They don't hear it from their parents. A lot of them really are hearing the negativity every day, and they start to buy into that and to believe that they're not going to ever be anything. And so if they believe they're not going to ever be anything or go anywhere, why should they care about anybody else, trying to live their best life? We need to teach them that they need to want to be great, and then help get them the means to make it happen.
Right. I think besides, I know it started at home with the parenting, but besides that, I think my number one thing with the youth is peer pressure. Because I've been there. We all been there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We weren't just we been there. We was all kids, we was all youth. And peer pressure is bad. It's a bad thing. It's a real, you know what I'm saying? You make a bad decision on peer pressure every time. 9 times out of 10. So my whole thing is helping them break up some of that peer pressure. If they need to talk to somebody, I don't care if it's 4 a.m, call my phone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Before you make a bad decision. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need to, get in their head, that they got somebody they don't gotta call their parents. Because a lot of kids don't want to talk to their parents about stuff. But they can talk to somebody else. They've been through, like me, I've been, you know what I'm saying? I've been to the storm, I've been to prison, I've been a drug dealer, all that. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna judge. You know what I'm saying? When somebody else might judge, you know what I mean? So we just gotta get them to understand they got a big homie or a big sister to call. You know what I'm saying? Their mama might be sitting in this room. Call your big homie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'll pull up. Tip will pull up. Miss Young will pull up. I know Pastor HAWKINS will pull up. You know what I mean? We just need to get them to understand is that they ain't got to make a bad decision. They ain't got to go to prison like me and Tip did. They ain't got to go in that 5x7 and smell another guy's feet and butt. You know what I mean? So this you know what I'm saying? Live through me. Let me, you know what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to get them to see. And I'm just trying to get them to see that they got somebody that cares and somebody we can talk it out before you make a bad decision.
And you know what, Terrence, man. Another part of this is, man, we have to hold our culture accountable as well.
Absolutely.
We definitely got to hold our culture accountable. I mean, I love our culture. I love the things we have produced and we continue to produce. But it's a lot of detrimental things, behaviors in our culture that influence the youth. And if we don't hold them accountable, for one, like the music, people don't understand. Like I love music. You understand? Now I'm at an age where I'm able to deal with it. I'm able to decipher the message and things like that, and not allow it to influence me to make a bad decision. A lot of our youth are so impulsive. Then they hear this music that's being promoted to them purposely. You don't hear the conscious rappers like the Talib Kweli. They do that on purpose because they don't want you to hear that message. So they put the music out there that promotes genocide, menocide, and it has the influences on them. And we gotta hold ourselves in a culture accountable. That's why another solution I came up with. Actually, me and my little cousin, he's 23, 24. He started a nonprofit called Meta, Music, Entertainment with Therapy and Artistry. And one of his things is he want to use the music and the entertainment and the artistry to implement therapy for the youth to deal with the trauma that they're going through. And part of that is kind of desocializing them from what they've been socialized to, what they've been exposed to. And then once you desocialize them, now you begin to re-socialize them with positive values and positive things and life skills that can, give them the power to make better decisions, to deal with peer pressure, not to be impulsive.
Hey, to piggyback off what Tip said, he absolutely correct, because it seems to me the most negative music that's coming out now is the biggest music. You know what I mean? You know, that's who making the most money. The most negative music, it's the most negative rappers, no disrespect, they making the most money. And Tip is absolutely right. And it's done, and the record company's doing it on purpose. You know what I mean? They want that message, that negative message. They know the black youth's gonna follow and all, you know what I'm saying? But see, they backfire when the suburb kids jumping on now. So you know what I mean? So, but that, you know what I mean? That's true. That's true too. The most negative music they the biggest rapper. The biggest, you know what I mean? They, you know what I mean, make 40, 50,000 a show. These guys 17, 18 years old, man. They ain't even got albums out. They just got big on Instagram and they getting 40, 50,000 a show. No disrespect to them, get their money.
Right. They don't know. Yeah, they don't know no better.
Right, they don't know no better. And I heard the record companies are putting life insurance on when they sign them because you know the life expectancy, like all them Chicago rappers. Man, I heard the record companies cleaning up. They assign them, you know, they give them 100,000 or something, and they assign they make them sign some life insurance, and they killing like crazy in Chicago, and the record companies getting paid. It's crazy, man. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
And you know what, brother? I want to piggyback on something. You know, even like Tip said, man, the culture has to be accountable, and there's so many layers of this thing that we know. But this is why accountability is everything. So I try to be conscious not to believe that everything or everybody is so far gone that even whatever little part I do won't make a difference. If I'm riding down the street and if I see a car with a student driver in there, I want to do the right things because I don't know who's in that car. I don't know what young person is in that car. But if I got to change lanes, I'm going to change lanes legally because that young person in the car could be influenced by it. That's when we hold accountability to a whole nother level to where we're not doing it when people see. We're doing it because we don't even know who might pick up on that habit. Right. You know, like I say, my generation, you know, Scarface, I can remember when I first seen Scarface, you know. I can remember those things and how it influenced us.
Yes, sir.
So everything influenced us to some capacity. So when we're talking about changing the culture, which is one of the difficult things because you got to change the mindset.
Right.
You must take everything you do in accountability that somebody may see this and they may somehow be influenced by it. So what we want to do is make sure that whether we see them or not, they influence positive if they see it, you know. So it's so big, it's so huge, and every little step counts, you know. No matter if we know them or not know them, but if we think it's a youth, we want to do whatever we can to make sure we portraying a good message in front of them, just in case later on they may pick up on it.
Well, you know, every generation has a bad influence. You know, like you said, our generation, it was Scarface and stuff like that. I mean, I ain't saying we was saints or nothing, because I done stepped over a lot of bodies at the Beaver. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna, you know what I mean? But this some next level stuff. Pastor, and all my years, I've been, you know what I'm saying? I've been in Flint, Michigan all my life. We always been known for violence, besides basketball and all stuff like that. We always been known, but this is some next level stuff. I ain't never our generation wasn't no saint, Pastor. But this on the next level. This is next level stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Well, think about it like this, brother. It's always like this. You know, everything always progresses.
Yep.
And even habits do. You know, it always intensifies. So but every generation is a product of the generation prior to.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
So we brought some things on that our parents did, but then we just added some extra sauce to it, you know, and the next generation. And now we see a generation.
You just grew up, Pastor.
Exactly. But now we see a generation that's being influenced again by far more, and they're just taking it to another level.
Yeah.
So
they just take it to another level.
Yeah, it's just being intensified. But those those measures, those things that we learned, every generation before us learned it for those who wanted it, and then generations that's now or coming can still learn it, you know. And
Right.
so, but those things had to be taught, just like we had to learn, we had to teach them. You know, somebody asked the question, like you said, can we
Yes, sir.
stop the pop-ups? You probably won't ever stop the pop-up, but what you can do is get in front of some of it and create an atmosphere, and like Tip said, a safe place. Think about it. When we was young, we love to hit the strip. You know, we love to do those type of things. We don't want to take that from them. We just want to teach it.
Right.
You know, I taught my children how to date. You know, a lot of parents say, "You too young to date." No, you better teach them how, because if you don't, they're gonna do like some of us did. They're gonna do it anyway, the hard way.
Yep.
You know, so we have to have those safe places. We have to teach them. You know, and once we teach them, and again, that self-awareness, they'll grow, and they'll grow in themselves as to what they should or shouldn't do, and what they should stay, go towards or stay away from. But we can't be hands off and let them do it themselves. It's a bad thing when a blind person wandering around in the dark.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Miss Young, I know you're not in the prosecutor's seat yet, but how would you have handled this last weekend's violence? What came across your desk? How would you have handled it? You know what I mean?
Well,
you're gonna get charged and how and all that. You know.
So gun violence, number one, is a big problem in the community. But I have an issue with how they've been dealing and handling. You know, they're only taking people off the streets with the guns, knowing that these guns are being brought in our community by the truckloads, and they're not getting the people who are bringing them into the community and putting them into these young people's hands, which is wrong. Don't get me wrong. You know, if these young people are out here with an illegal weapon and they're pulling the trigger and they're reckless, they have to pay a price for that. They do. Right. But we have to understand, remember, the lead crisis is now about 5-6 years old. So when you look at these kids now that are a bit impulsive and have some behavior, some attitude issues, a lot of that could have been impacted from the lead crisis. So we need to have, what I would like to see is a lead court, where if we can show that these kids were exposed to lead and that they're now having these issues, and prior to that there was no indication of bad behavior, you know, we need to find ways to help these kids to redirect. So I'm a big believer in second chances. So even if you carried a gun and you shot it, if you didn't actually kill anybody or shoot anybody, I'm going to be working for you to have a second chance, for you to use that as a learning experience. Now, there will be a price to pay. I'm going to make you go through some counseling. I'm going to make you do some community service. You know, there's going to be some hurdles for you to jump. It's not a free pass by any means, but you deserve a second chance. Because now if you come back and you're going to do what you're going to do, well, then I got to do what I'm going to do, you know. But I believe everybody deserves a second chance. And so I would look at, you know, just the possession of those weapons. Number one, the priority is to get those weapons off the street. So if we can confiscate those weapons and take them out the hands, you may have just saved a life right there. So, you know, it's all about being safe and not throwing our kids away just because they make a bad decision.
Right. And that kind of remind me of Miss Young when the parole board let me go. I forgot the lady name. The one lady, she told me, she said, Mr. Sales, if you in a car with a water pistol up under the hood and you come back in front of this board, you out of there.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I feel what you're saying, and I wish it was a prosecuting office when I had my problems like you. And like you say, you know, once you look at their record and it's a first time or something, give them another, you know, stall them out. Like you said, no free pass. By all means, no free pass. But you know what I mean? Maybe it was something that went wrong that night that they, you know what I mean? So I appreciate that. That's great. That was great, Mission.
Can I add something? Can I add something too? I think
ahead,
Attorney Young, she has that competence, right? That the office needs. She has that competence. Individuals we got now, I don't see that competence, that cultural competence. You know what I'm saying? Because people of color, black men and black women, I mean, they have been getting, man, they've been getting the ass end of the stick when it comes to the
Right.
law. And you have they white counterparts, man, they get a slap on the wrist. I did 10 years in prison. I mean, we just seen it a couple weeks ago. When it's like it's no fairness. Like, we need somebody in there that's going to be fair, that believes in restorative justice, alternatives, but at the same time, able to allow, give individuals the opportunity to say, hey, look, you have to be accountable for what you do.
That's her. That's her, Ms. Young. That's her.
Once you do what once you take those steps, hey, your second chance is on you. But we don't need no one who's just gonna throw them away, not knowing how they grew up, not knowing the circumstance or anything. But when it's somebody of a different color, they say, well, such and such, his dad wasn't there, his mom wasn't there, he's going through it. They're going to a divorce. But when it's people of color, they don't even consider that, and that's what I mean.
They don't care. Don't care because they think we belong in prison.
Exactly.
So that mindset that has to change.
Got to change.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like y'all say, the mindset has to change, and like Pastor and Tiff said, the culture. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I just got hope and pray. You know what I'm saying? We can you know what I'm saying, we can nip this problem in the bud. I mean, I know we can't save everybody, but we can slow it down a little bit, And man, I'm really speechless about this. Like I said, I've been in the streets all my life, with the exception of going to prison. And I never seen nothing like this in Flint. Never. My whole life. You know what I mean? And man, I know we weren't gonna talk politics. We need you, Miss Young. we need to get you in there.
We gotta go vote.
Get you in there. You got my vote.
Right. If they come out and vote, we can get it done. We can get it done. But one thing I've heard that I would really love to start with even just the four of us, can we start a call list, a safe call list that we can disseminate to the youth? If they, like you just said, if they're in a peer pressure situation, or if they, somewhere they don't want to be and don't know how they get out, would you guys be willing to start that type of list?
Yes, ma'am. I am. I'm down.
Absolutely.
I'm down.
I
That's a solution
think that's
that we
neat.
We can call it big homies, big sisters list or something. I don't know. We'll get it together.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
With that, it's needed.
Because I know the young ladies of Flint need help too, just like the young men. You know what I'm saying? So,
that incident that just happened started with some women, some young ladies, So it really, and to me, if we get the women to have more self-respect and pride and not dress as reckless as they dress, the men they'll slowly follow because they come in there with the women.
Miss Young, we got to show them how to dress. You know what I'm saying? We got to introduce them how to dress. And another thing, them boys with them pants down, past their butt. Hey, Tip, what that mean in the penitentiary? What that mean? Come on, Tip.
You know what that mean, baby? That means you belong to somebody else.
If they knew, I be cracking up. Like the other day, I was at Family Dollar, dude walking down with his butt hand. I said, man, if this dude really knew what that meant,
right?
You know what I mean? He'll probably pull his pants up like Steve Urkel. But you know what I mean?
You know what?
Hey, go ahead.
It's a form of expression too. When I see a young man sag and get, you know what I think? Man, he going through something. He expressing himself. He rebelling because he know people don't. It's not proper to have your pants that low. He rebelling. I don't care. Yeah, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, he started with.
But bro, just as well as because we know we see a lot of cats out here that we might refer to them as knuckleheads, though they may not really be that, Right. Like Tip said, they're going through something. But just as well as when we see these young boys, even young girls out here doing positive, we got to support them. We got to encourage them because, one thing about growing up in the hood, you really one move away from something negative.
Yep.
You one move away. So to keep them from being from going through that, we got to support it. It was some young brothers on Facebook the other day selling lemonade, and they was on Welch Street. My wife showed it to me on Facebook, so we just went over there and bought all the lemonade they had, and they went and bought some more.
That was great.
And then I encourage others, because if we don't support the positive,
right,
the positive is a foot away from a negative.
You're right.
Especially growing up, and the environment is conducive to negative.
Yeah.
And when it's conducive to that, you almost, you ain't never sold no drugs in your life, but you almost got a bag in your back pocket because it's so close to you.
Right.
So we have to support our young people when they're doing right, whether we know them or not. We see a young person in the store that's speaking positive or doing something right. We must support it. Even speaking to them.
Yeah.
We'll walk past them. It says, "Hey, how you doing, young brother? Hey, my little sister, how you doing?" Just to show them some love, because it's missing so terribly. We got to make sure that we do that.
My son, he's 4 years old, and every time the lawn care guy come over, he gives him $1. He give him a job. He give him $1 to move the leaves and stuff out the way. And he's 4 years old. He told my man, he was like, he said, "I really appreciate you giving me this job." He's 4 years old. And that's what he told me. And I want to keep him in that mind state. He got to break the chain, because his daddy went to prison. You know what I'm saying? I let my mama down and everybody else. I got to break the chain with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
He say he be telling me he want to be a police officer. I'll be all for it. He be saying he want to be a fireman. You know what I'm saying? So, like you say, it starts. That's where it starts at.
That's it.
You know what I mean? That's where it starts at. You know what I'm saying?
Positive words go a long ways.
And another thing, Miss Young, I know you're gonna do this. Please hold them suburb kids accountable for what they do too. Just because they live in Clio. I know you not though. I just want to say that. You know what I'm saying? Hold them accountable as the guy hold them accountable as the guy that live on Avenue A. Just like, you know what I mean? Hold them accountable. Hold them accountable, Miss Young. You know what I'm saying? Because they
includes law enforcement have to be held accountable as well.
Oh yes.
Right. Yeah. So the accountability is like Pastor Hawkins said. That's where it's at. That's period. Exclamation point. That's it right there. Accountability. If you do your job, you won't have any issue with me. But if you violate somebody's constitutional rights, there's a problem there.
Yeah.
Right.
Do it right, and you won't have a problem. But that goes, it's not about your race at the end of the day. It's about your behavior. And it's about, it's a humanity issue. But blacks have been behind the start line for so long. It's time for us to at least come up to the start line. Yep. We want to finish on time too.
Absolutely. Level the playing field. That's all it is.
Okay, hold on, y'all. I got somebody put a question up. They said, that's my cousin. He said, would it help to hold parents more accountable for their children's action? I know the youngins are the ones wilding, but the parents are out there with the kids. Out there with the kids. Instances, and you can't say nothing to other people's kids nowadays. And that's the community MO.
That's a hard one, because I just think back when I was 16. You know what I'm saying? The things I was doing wasn't nothing like my mom raised me to be.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So to hold her accountable to a certain extent would have been wrong on so many levels, because I'm at the age of maturity. Even though I'm not fully developed, I'm making rash decisions. And in the midst of that impulsive decision making, I really don't feel like you can really hold the parents accountable. But we do have to get back to what Miss Young said, village mentality.
Mm-hmm.
If you see my child doing something, correct that behavior.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's not received well in the community now. If you try to find somebody's child, that parent gonna be knocking on your door saying, "Did you touch my child?" Why,
Mm-hmm.
So I too am split on that. I've seen where they actually tried to do that to hold parents accountable for the behavior of the kids, and it was not a successful program because some parents have literally just lost control. And if if they're doing the best they can and they have to work, and now you want them to be basically babysitting this child, who's already rebelling and trying to get into trouble. It's a hard road to toe, to hold that parent or lock that parent up, because some courts have tried to lock parents up behind that. Exactly. And I just can't get behind that.
If you touch them nowadays, Ms. Young, protective service is gonna be knocking at your door on the next morning.
That's true.
What can you do? So I feel the parents a little bit. What can you do? Because if you get the old fashioned whoopings like we used to get, child protective services be at your door. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
It's that onion, man. It's like I think Tip said it, man. It's that onion. It's so many layers to this.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the hardest part is probably the biggest part. I remember when I worked at Central High School, and a young lady got into it with another young lady, but this particular young lady instigated the whole thing. Fight got broke up. She was getting kicked out. She called her dad on the phone. He come up there walking through the school with a hammer. So he's gonna be so the unfortunate thing is when there's and I say this for the lack of better words or lack of knowledge, when ignorance is behind it and fueling it,
right,
it only beget what it's fueling. And so there has to be some accountability, though the totality of it can't be. But I think it's one of those things that may end up case by case, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because you have some parents out there that's doing the best that they can do.
Right.
And that child is that young person is just bent on doing whatever it is.
Control.
Exactly.
But then you have some parents out there that fully support it and it's helped fueling it.
Right.
So I think it has to be looked at case by case. I see it. Don't know mama had no business twerking with her daughter. Let's be real about it. Don't know son. Have no business. Passing the blunt to his.
Be a parent.
Don't know boy got no business passing the blunt to his dad. At some point in time, parents can do. My mom did the best she could do with us. Best she could do. I turned out selling drugs. My brother was the stick-up kid, and my other brother was, was doing this. Right. Two of my brothers was on drugs, and other my sisters was on drugs. And it's like, where did I go wrong at? You did, mama. Trust me.
Right.
You did the best you could do.
Right.
We just was bent on society and allowing everybody else to teach us and influence us.
Right.
Right.
But then there's those parents that supports them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, I just had a person who gave their child a gun so to go handle their business, and this child is young.
Wow.
So the accountability has to be fairly done, but it's a difference when it's being fueled by the parent.
Right.
Ooh, man, that's what kind of example you example your children in that teaching them a behavior. You saying
you're teaching them behavior.
Yeah.
Right.
That's sad.
To piggyback on what Pastor Hawkins said, after I say this, we're gonna get y'all closing remarks. To me, excuse my English. No, I ain't gotta say the N word. Any street guy, if you was a street guy and your son is a street guy, you a failure. You failed as a man. You know what I'm saying? Flat out. If you was a street guy, if you was a drug dealer, a stealer, a robber, whatever it may be, and your son, you didn't break the chain, you a failure. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's case by case.
Okay.
I think it's case by case.
Okay.
It's only so much you can do. I know individuals who they did the best they could with the best they had, and they son, did what he wanted to do.
Right. Hey, Tip, let me get your closing remarks, brother.
Yeah, so my thing is, like I say, bring back that village mentality, like Attorney Young said. Start working on, it's so many layers of it. We got to start working on these layers, be accountable to one another, We need the big homies to step up, to step up, the big sisters to step up,
Yep.
and more importantly, man, this stuff is structured, so we definitely have to vote for people who have the competence to that's able to restore the balance and be just on all levels. And that those are my closing remarks, man.
Okay. Pastor Hawkins.
Yeah, thank you, brother, for having me on. Truly, man, and I appreciate that greatly. Like you say, it's time for the older generation to really step up. We got to be really conscious of what we do because somebody can see it. I'm so conscious of what I put out there on Facebook, not because I'm grown, but because I'm an influence. And I just want to be conscious to make sure that if I'm at any measure influencing any young person, it's in a positive way. I'm all in terms of doing whatever it takes to help and bring better quality of life, particularly to our young people, so that they can have a better chance. So I think Trachelle made mention of it, that if they need to call us, we need to have those type of hotlines, and we need to be really ready for some tough conversations.
Absolutely.
And then really, be ready to really, not blast them out there, but to show them that type of love, show them that type of support, and show them a way that they can come from out of that. I've had brothers come up to me that was still out there slanging. I just asked them this, man, what's your exit plan?
Mm-hmm.
I have an exit plan in this stuff. I'm not agreeing with what you're doing. I get it. I don't agree with it. But if you don't have an exit plan, trust me, it is going to devour you. So let's have those tough conversations and do whatever we can do to help our young people so they can have a better quality of life.
All right, Ms. Young, your closing remarks.
So thank you for allowing me to be part of this conversation. I think these are the conversations that are the beginning of a step in the right direction. And, as you indicated, this conversation was about developing solutions. And so, I was glad when we can have these conversations versus playing the blame game or, finding excuses why we can't do this or can't do that. It's time for all of us to step into our roles and be responsible, not only for ourselves, but for our next generation that's coming. I'm running for prosecutor because I have a 27-year-old son. He has his bachelor's degree, he has his master's degree, and he's currently in law school, and he'll be a second generational attorney. But I do know if the wrong police officer gets behind him and pulls him over, he may not get a chance to say a word. Right. So I understand how far-reaching these issues are as it relates to law enforcement, police brutality, excessive force, violation of constitutional rights. But I also understand that we have to start taking more pride and self-respect in who we are. We can't say stop killing us to the police and then we turn around and we're killing each other and act like we get a pass. We got to be more accountable for each other, and we got to communicate. And again, it starts with conversations like this. So I am going to generate this call list, guys. So don't think that this is gonna go fly by night. We're gonna do this.
Yeah,
I'm ready to work. It's gonna be hard. Like Pastor say, it's not gonna be easy. I'm ready for it. Let's go.
And you know what? If it was easy, I wouldn't.
Everybody do it.
Right.
Everybody do it. That's right. That's right.
I don't expect it to be easy, but where we are is by design, not by default. So we have to design our way out of this, and it's up to us. Nobody's gonna come save us. We got to save us. So, just thank you for letting me be part of the conversation. If you guys need anything from me, you know how to reach me. But right now, it's time for change, and I would just encourage everyone to vote on August 4th.
Absolutely. Hey, Terrence, I want to say this really quick, man. And Trachelle know me and Trachelle, that's my homegirl. So if I call her Trachelle, please, she knows this, but I say this publicly. It's not to any offense. And of course, I respect her position as attorney, and I respect her position as a candidate. I support her wholeheartedly as a candidate. She knows that. Yes. So I'm so comfortable with people I'm comfortable with that if she called me Jeff, it wouldn't be no slight to me at all, because reality is that's my name. But so I want to just say it publicly. No harm when I say Trachelle, but I respect her as attorney and she knows that wholeheartedly. So I just wanted to put that out there.
All right, man. I appreciate each and every one of y'all coming on. We got to stay in contact. We got to implement that program that Ms. Young talking about.
Yes.
I'm in contact with all y'all. So I appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming on. And Ms. Young, we're gonna get you in there. Don't you worry about it.
Let's do it. I appreciate your support.
It's gotta happen.
All right, man.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Peace.
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 Did you just get my inbox?